Now, it was 8 years ago that a GMB investigation revealed how difficult it was getting to get an NHS dentist appointment in England. Well, now, as the government promises to provide 2.5 million more appointments, that's the promise, we found that it's actually become even harder.
Yes, back in 2016, we spoke to 100 dental practices across 10 regions. So we decided to contact them again over 3 different days. And of the practices that were still open, we found that while all 10 areas had practices that could offer an NHS appointment, it's now fallen to just 3.
Now, 13% of all the practices could offer NHS appointments in 2016. I'll say that again, 13%. Now it's just 1%.
That's absolutely shocking.
The 12% of dental practices who could offer private appointments has increased to 17%. Well, among those struggling to find an NHS dentist is Tarquin Cook from Norfolk. We spent the whole day with him as he tried to book just one appointment.
A 4-year wait. Only children. OK, that's disappointing. Just private. Thanks, bye. I've been struggling to find a dentist or any sort of dental appointment since 2019. Kept on trying to pursue the dentist, going up to the building, trying to make contact with someone. I never got any luck anywhere. You have any available NHS appointments, please? Nothing. Because I can't grip with my hand, I use my teeth, and in the teeth pain that I'm experiencing at the moment makes me feel that I'll lose my teeth. That they'll kick on to me losing my independence. I value my independence.
Yeah,
that's the human cost of these statistics. Unbelievable.
So depressing.
Well, joining us now is Jamie Totterdell, who's amongst millions of people right across the country unable to get an NHS dentist appointment for love or money. Alongside the chair of the British Dental Association, a regular on this programme these days, Eddie Crouch, who I think it's fair to say is grimly unsurprised by what we've uncovered. But let's come to you first of all and look at your teeth. Yep. What's wrong at the moment?
So I haven't had a dentist for 16, 17 years. The last time I was... 16 years old. It's come to the point where I've done my own extractions at home.
How many?
Multiple 2.
Jeez. Using what, pliers?
Pliers, yep. One extraction I had to go to the dentist after because I'd left the teeth in there.
You left a shard of teeth.
And they had to do surgery to rectify that.
So how did you get that appointment?
Through the NHS emergency.
OK, but
that was back in 2016.
But so the only time you've managed to see a dentist is when it's been an emergency?
Yeah, when I've caused damage to myself.
And what happens when you ring up? Is it did you recognise Tarquin's dilemma there?
Yeah, definitely.
Just talk us through that. What happens?
So they can't help. They say, what they always say is, you can see us, but it is private. So you have to pay a fee. But what they don't understand is, I can pay the fee to see someone privately for one appointment, but the work that I need done is going to cost thousands. Yeah. And I can't.
But an extraction would, if you did have it done privately, we've established would cost up to about £280. It could be 160, 170, but it could be as much as... Could you afford that?
No. I'm self-employed myself.
So what's the state of your mouth now? I mean, the front of your teeth look absolutely fine. What's going on behind?
So all of my back ones are gone. The front one's gone, and the teeth have kind of moved.
I don't know if you know, but Richard's going to perform some... dentistry on you.
We're just going to have a look, basically. So if you say a nice wide R, and here we go, that's your bottom right. We can see the gaps. Oh, the camera's broken.
Oh, what a relief.
What a shame.
I mean, sorry. What a shame.
Is it not working at all? No? Oh, what a shame. It worked in rehearsal. We'll try and get it working again, and we'll have another look.
That's all right.
What would you like to tell us about how, if Richard could get the camera working, what would he see at the back of your mouth?
A mess, putting it nicely.
Well, I could see with my naked eye there.
Yeah.
You just got huge gaps.
I'm quite lucky that my front teeth are OK. I've got one there that's chipping away, that's started chipping away recently.
How do you chew food without top and bottom back?
I've just got used to it over the years.
Roll it around with your tongue.
But then that's putting more strain on the other teeth that are in working order.
Of course it does.
And then eventually they're going to...
We've actually got the pictures that we took 5 minutes ago during the rehearsal, so let's have a little look. Good, I'm glad we recorded this. Yeah, a little bit dark, but we can see what you've just described. There's nothing there except sockets, basically, sockets and gum.
Yeah.
How you chew? You say you've worked it out. God knows you have such a small area of your jawline where you can actually get food between.
Yeah. And there's part of the tooth that's still there.
Yeah.
But there's not enough there for me to, even though I shouldn't perform it myself at home, there's not even enough there for me to perform it.
Luckily, we have a professional dentist
Yes.
on set, as opposed to a television presenter with a faulty camera. Eddie Crouch, you've been shaking your head.
Yes.
Is there an increase in people performing dentistry on themselves?
I've met lots of people. I mean, every week I get contacted on social media about people who are doing DIY dentistry, and it's shocking.
What are the consequences?
Well, you know, things go wrong, sadly. People hope that they're going to be able to do it properly, but they're obviously putting a pair of pliers in their mouth. They can't really see what they're doing. No. They end up breaking a tooth. They leave a root in. That could get really badly infected. We've seen people, sadly, with severe infections, and we're almost, going into sepsis. It really is shocking what could happen with DIY dentistry.
But we spend a lot of time bashing the government for not investing enough in dentistry.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't have a situation where you couldn't see a doctor unless it was private. We wouldn't tolerate that. So why do we tolerate the fact that dentists will say, oh, yeah, you can come in, but I'm going to charge you as a private patient? Mm-hmm. I mean, what's gone wrong with our dentists?
Well, the situation from 2006 is the amount of dentistry, NHS dentistry, that's been commissioned was only ever enough for half the population. Mm-hmm. So the funding element has always been inadequate to see all the population.
But the government now says that it's going to pay you more to see more NHS patients.
That's what they're saying, yes.
So how, in good conscience, can dentists continue to deny people NHS appointments?
The money is one element, but really what the important element of what the government are not doing is changing the NHS dental contract. We want to provide actually more prevention rather than more active treatment so that we can actually save the NHS money. But the current contract doesn't allow us to do that.
OK, but that's not going to help someone like Jamie or Talk. No. They need treatment now. And they, 16 years being told, you can have an emergency appointment, but I'm not going to treat you on the NHS unless you pay a huge amount of your self-employed wage to fund my private dentist lifestyle. I mean, I don't understand how dentists who presumably want to help people and don't want to see them in emergencies can allow this situation to continue. Yeah,
and I think that's exactly why the British Dental Association are so disappointed with the recovery plan, because it's not ambitious enough. We've actually...
You said it's not ambitious because it doesn't include prevention. But
no, I think it's more than that. We're talking about the government saying that they've invested 200 million extra into the NHS dental service, and they have to admit then in Parliament that they haven't done that. It's out the existing budget.
It's part of the problem that increasingly dentists are not individuals operating by themselves. They're part of much larger practices, and if you like, they've got big sort of conglomerates running them, and that they're coming under the cosh from basically their bosses to say, no, you won't do any more NHS appointments because that doesn't break in the cash. You will do X percent, and maybe even an increased percentage of private work. Is that part of the problem?
No, I don't think so. I mean, about a third of dentistry is provided by corporate bodies, and actually a lot of those are actually offloading practices because they can't make them viable.
Well, coming back to you, OK, we've seen what you don't have. Let's assume that you had an appointment and a string of appointments now with an NHS dentist. What work would you need doing to get your mouth back in shape? What do you need doing?
I mean, stuff from hygienists all the way up to root canal, I reckon.
OK, and bridges put in, and artificial teeth and pegs and all the rest of it?
Fill-ins, like I said, the front tooth, that's chipping away now as well.
Right. So we're talking about many, many thousands of pounds worth of work.
Yeah, definitely.
You
at
really
least
are.
a couple of thousand.
Yeah.
I think root canal in my region can be up to £800 per root canal.
Eddie, there is an article in Dentistry, why are more dentists leaving the NHS to go private? And it says many NHS dentists are handing back their contracts. And partly because of a backlog of appointments caused by the lockdowns, and the reasons to stay became outweighed by the reasons to go. They just wanted to take control of their work-life balance, wanted to work shorter hours, fewer appointments, and wanted to see fewer patients. I mean, do you think that we are facing an end to NHS dentistry?
Well, I hope not. But, I mean, every piece of research that's actually been undertaken, and the Nuffield Trust did a piece before Christmas where they don't believe the old style of NHS dental practice is restorable.
It feels like an unstoppable flow, doesn't it? Only going in one direction, which is basically on the American model.
I hope not. And I think it's going to be a big election issue. I think most of the politicians I'm talking to say they hear it on the doorstep. I would hope that we would see ambitious plans to reform the dental contract in all of those manifestos from all of those political parties going into a general election.
And in the meantime, what do you say to all of the people who get in touch, Jamie, Tarquin, everybody? Bethel, my children's appointments were cancelled when they were in the dentist's car park. Laura, I've extracted 2 of my own teeth. I can't get an NHS dentist. I was in so much pain. Charlotte, my 12-year-old daughter went to get 4 extractions last Friday. We got there, the appointment was cancelled. They made another one for this week. I've received a text to say it's cancelled. It isn't good enough. Honestly, what can we do? What would you say? Well, not to the government. We know what you say to the government. More money, please. What would you say to the dentists?
A lot of the reasons why they're cancelling appointments is, sadly, that we've got a workforce problem. We can't recruit. Many of my colleagues are finding they've advertised for dentists, and in 2 years they've not had a single applicant.
And how do we train more dentists?
Well, the government have got ambitions about that. 40% more dentists, they say, is part of the recovery plan, part of the workforce plan. I'd like to see the workings of that. I mean, we need probably 250 extra academics if we're going to increase that amount of training. OK, so it's a major, major task. And I totally agree with you. It should be a major election issue. And I hope so.
Very soon. Jamie, thank you very much for letting the nation look down your gob. And what can we say to you? I mean, I wish we could offer you some kind of comfort, but we can't. I mean, as we hear, it's as we have established in our research on this programme, it's getting worse, not better.
Absolutely.
Whatever the government says, it's getting worse.
Yeah.
Tracy says, I've been using super glue to hold my caps in. Oh. Eddie?
Nonsensical.
What was your advice to someone who's using super glue?
Well, sadly, I've seen someone when I was practising that actually stuck a crown back on with super glue, sadly the wrong way around, and couldn't bite together again.
Oh, jeez.
It's appalling.
Right. Okay.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Indeed.